All right, today we're going to be talking about two-step equations. Remember that when we learned about one-step equations, when we solved those using adding and subtracting, we were undoing the constant term in the equation using addition or subtraction. And when we solved one-step equations using multiplication and division, we were undoing the coefficient. And we did that using multiplication or division. So today we're going to be talking about equations where we need to do both of those steps in the same equation instead of just one. And in this case, the order does matter. We need to undo the constant term before undoing the coefficient. So anytime you get an equation, remember your goal is to isolate the variable, which means to get the variable alone. And we do that by moving all of the numbers that are on the same side as the variable to the other side of the equation, so the variable is the only thing left on that side. Anytime you get an equation, your first step is going to be to locate the variable and ask yourself what is happening to the variable. Right now, in this equation, it's being subtracted by 3 and multiplied by 5. We don't care about the negative 23 because that is not on the same side as the variable. So let me just start by recopying the problem. And step 1 is to undo the constant term. The constant term that's on the same side as the variable is negative 3 or minus 3. The opposite would be to add 3 to both sides. Bring down the 5y. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, so it cancels out. And negative 23 plus 3 is negative 20. I'm going to recopy it down here. The next step is to undo the coefficient. The coefficient is the number that's being multiplied by y, so the opposite of multiplying by 5 would be to divide by 5. And negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. This is my solution. I can check my solution by replacing the y in the original problem with the answer I got, which is negative 4, to see if it's true. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 minus 3 is negative 23, so we did, in fact, get the right answer. That's the beautiful thing about equations. You can check them before you ever turn in your test, right? The next example, I'm going to copy the problem down. I'm going to locate my variable, ask myself what's happening to that variable. In this case, it's being divided by 8, and we're subtracting 5. The first step is to undo the constant term, which is this minus 5. So I'm going to add 5 to negative 5 in order to get a 0 here. And whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. So negative 1 plus 5 is 4 on the right side of the equation. My next step is going to be to get rid of the coefficient. So since m is being divided by 8, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. m is 32. This is my answer, but I'm going to check it because I want to make sure I got it right before I turn it in. So I'm going to take that original equation and replace the m with 32 to see if I get the right answer. 32 divided by 8 is 4. And guess what? 4 minus 5 does, in fact, equal negative 1. This answer is correct. Moving right along, we've added a couple of challenging problems here at the end for accelerated math. You'll notice that 1/3 p plus 6 minus 2/3 p equals 0 has two terms with a p. So since those are like terms, we can combine them by adding their coefficients. 1/3 minus 2/3, or 1/3 plus negative 2/3, that's the same thing, right, is negative 1/3. So when I add those two p terms together, I get negative 1/3 p, and everything else is the same. So my first step, I'm going to locate that variable. This time it's a p, and ask myself what's happening to it. We're adding 6 and we're multiplying it by negative 1/3. So first I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. These cancel, right? That's why we did it. Then I'm going to rewrite the problem down here. Since x is being multiplied by negative 1/3, the opposite would be to divide by negative 1/3, which we know is the same as multiplying by negative 3, or negative 3 over 1, the reciprocal. So over here I'm going to multiply by negative 3, and over here I'm going to multiply by negative 3. On the left, the reason we did it is we know it's going to cancel out. This is going to give us 1p, because negative 3 times negative 1 is 3, and 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 over 3 is just 1. That's the whole idea behind doing that. And then negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18, and that's my answer. But I'm going to double check it just in case. I'm going to actually plug it into this right here, where I've already combined the terms that have p just to make it shorter for myself, so it fits here. 1/3 of 18 is 6, so this will be negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So it is true. And the last one we have here, remember that if we have 14 equals 6 minus x. If there's not a number in front of the x, it's actually a 1. And I also like to have the variable term on the left. I just like it better. It's not wrong if it's on the right. I'm going to do it like this. So now I'm looking for my variable here. And since it's being multiplied by negative 1 and added to 6, the opposite of the coefficient, the constant, would be to subtract 6 from both sides. I'll put that 1 in there still. 14 minus 6 is 8. So it's like negative 1x equals 8. So this canceled, right? The 6 minus 6 is 0. Now I'm going to undo the coefficient. The coefficient here is negative 1. It's being multiplied by x, and the opposite would be to divide both sides by x. So it looks like x equals negative 8. Alrighty, let's check it. Our original problem said 14 equals 6 minus x. So I'm going to replace the x with negative 8. So 14 equals 6 minus negative 8. We know that in life and in math, when we take away a negative, that's a positive. So this is actually 6 plus 8, which is indeed 14. So we got it right. Thanks for watching.